All right, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, and you are in the Java Cafe. Welcome. My name is James Hills. I'm your James Jimmy Hills. I'm your host here in the Java Cafe. As you know, we are expecting candidate for mayor, Domingo Darosas, Darosa rather, Domingos Darosa. I can't talk this morning. He's late. And so if you know me, you know my pre-production anxiety and things like that. I'm going to fuss at him. But no, he's running for mayor, so I get it. Him running late, doing things, getting ready for the election, which is next Tuesday. Please remember to vote. Make plans to vote now. We make plans for our lineups, our hair did, nails, important things like picking up the kids when we can't. Voting is just as important. If your children are in Boston Public Schools, if you flush the toilet and you engage with the Boston Water Sewer Commission, if you stop at a red light or think that there's a stop sign that should be somewhere, you are political and your vote matters. So please remember to make every plan to vote on next Tuesday. Polls open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. So please make every plan to vote. Do me a favor, make sure that you have liked Java with Jimmy, and also please share this live with someone to be a part of the Java Cafe this morning. All right. Also over on YouTube and Instagram as well. If you have not liked Java with Jimmy, please make sure that you do that. Again, Domingos Darosa is he's texting me right now. He said that he's in traffic, so we're just waiting for him to get here. Let's check in on a few things that are going on next Tuesday. There is not only the mayoral election, there is the city council election, there's the at-large seats, and then there is also the district seats. The at-large, I believe there are 17 candidates, and D7 particularly where I live, there are 11 candidates, and there are 4 candidates for mayor, one of which is Domingo, and also I believe it's Robert Capucci, or not Capuccio, and along with Mayor Michelle Wu, who is the incumbent and who is perceived to be her most contested challenger, or her challenger that is most contesting is Josh Kraft as well. And so we appreciate these 2 mayoral candidates that came into the Java Cafe. We appreciate Mayor Wu, who's here as the mayor every month for almost the past 3 some odd plus years. And then Domingo has been on a couple of times. So we appreciate them coming into the Java Cafe and engaging with this community here and find the engagement here valuable to their candidacy. So we appreciate both Mayor Wu and Domingo, candidates that have been in to engage and chat with you here in the Java Cafe. Let's go in the Instagram section of the Java Cafe and say good morning. Good morning to Perfect 10 Unisex. Also Miami. Yeah, I need to get to Miami. Miami Inc. Also, Sister Soraya is over on Instagram. Aquarius King Robinson, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Father's on the Move. What's up, bro? Good to see you in the room. Kay in Carolina, good morning to you. Orange City, Leslie, good morning to you. And also Miss Ari Lee. Those are the folks that are over in the Instagram section of the Java Cafe. And let's go into the Facebook section and say good morning as well. Nisi, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Marion, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Also, Mama Java, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Diana Garcia, who I believe may be a new name. Good to see you in the room this morning and welcome. Also, Sister Soraya jumped on over on Facebook as well. Milton, what's up, brother? Good to see you in the room this morning. Sister Debbie, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. And also Sharon, Pastor Sharon Cornelius, and Sharon. It's not the BCEC anymore. Okay, you got it there. It's the Menino Convention and Exhibition Center. So glad you're able to hop on and see us this morning. For those of you that have jumped on because Domingo is on his way in, he will be here in a few minutes. DQ, what's going on? DJ Q, what's going on? Good to see you in the room as well this morning. Also, I wanted to make you all, seeing Ari made me want to make you aware of a couple of things that are going on this week. The first thing get off the phone and get in here, brother. Sorry. How you on the phone and we live? And you knocking set over.
Well, it's my wife on the phone.
Oh, sorry. This is wife on the phone. You're late.
Are we live?
We live right now. Already. Get off it. But Domingo. No, next thing you're gonna know, they're gonna say that you said you on the phone, your wife come in here, act like you kissing me, and then they're gonna say something. I know. Let me make sure you
can't even get gas.
Can you pull the panel a little bit around? You know, I'm trying to hide
trying to hide
the iron port. My kitchen, look back there. My kitchen is not nasty.
Your place has always been clean. As long as I've known you, you've been a clean person, man.
And don't start moving. Pull the mic up to you a little bit so you can be closer and they can hear you. Can you all hear him?
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Now let me my camera's been acting up. You know, I have to upgrade because funds are interesting. All right, there you go. We got you right there.
I'm sorry I'm late, man. The traffic was ridiculous, man.
So let's jump right in. If you were mayor, what would you do to alleviate traffic in the morning?
Bring it back to what it was accustomed to. You need 2 lanes on American Legion. We can't have, triple parking on Blue Hill Ave and no police enforcement. You can't come through Forest Hills because, again, we have double parking from people dropping people off at the train station. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but the reality is we need traffic enforcement. We need folks out there during those peak hours making sure traffic is flowing. People can't just be pulling in the middle of the street because they're an Uber driver and they feel like they can just pull over wherever they feel like, because that's one of the biggest issues here in the city. A lot of our Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, they just don't care. They're just out there to make money.
So let me ask you this, because there are a lot of people that come into the city that don't live here and they're making money. And then there are a lot of people who are hustling, gig workers and whatnot, that don't have, they're honestly working and they don't have the ability to pull up, for example, at Ali's on Blue Hill Ave, where the parking is interesting there. And so what is the balance between being sensitive to those rideshare drivers that are providing a service for many residents, but then also taking into consideration the issue with cars being the biggest issue, then like the 1 lane, then bikes and pedestrians? And the numbers show that pedestrians are the most hurt. So how are you balancing being sensitive to the small gig workers, but then also safety on the other side? I'm a small business owner. I try to go to banks and stuff and I can't park. It gets aggravating. How do you find the balance between both of those?
You remember, we used to have delivery drivers for a lot of these pizza shops and restaurants.
Now, yeah, but that was much lower.
I mean, you had one delivery driver delivering food across the city. Now you got 30 coming into the same restaurant, picking up from these food shares companies. And, we got to have a little stronger regulations when it comes to that. We have loading zones in our commercial areas that are not enforced. For example, like on Bowdoin, between Hamilton Street and to Toplift, that's a loading zone for those markets. But during the day, from 8 to 12, and you pull up at 8 o'clock in the morning and people are just parked. So the tractor trailers, when they pull up, the 18-wheelers, when they pull up to unload for Brothers Market or the liquor store, even the clinic, they're not able to. So we need enforcement. We need to go back to the days where, if you parked illegally, you got a ticket. And again, that generates money for the city, but it also needs to come back to that culture. Like, people used to be very intimidated to park certain places because you didn't want to get a ticket. Now, because we don't give these tickets for certain things, people are not following what these ordinances are. I mean, unless it's street cleaning day. And I got a solution for that too. Street cleaning day for me would be the same day as trash day. So that alleviates the trucks from being stopped in the middle of the street. So you would actually pull over to the actual side where there's no parking, allowing traffic to flow, and the trucks will still be able to drive up the street and pick up the trash.
And that would, if I heard you correctly, for residents that don't have off-street parking on trash day and street cleaning day, where are they parking?
Well, it'd be the same day.
It would be the same day.
You wouldn't have trash on Tuesday and then street cleaning on
No, I got that all on the same day, but where? So it would be one side of the street and the residents.
9 out of the 10 times, folks are gone between 8 and
Most.
5
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're at work.
Yep.
But this is where we accommodate the community by making things like that more streamlined. And that's one of the things I've always said, being a resident, being someone who's, like my dad used to tell me, you got to be more, it's not common sense. You got to be more practical. My dad was a practical man. So common sense to him was like, yeah,
It just makes sense.
it's non-existence in his mind, because if it wasn't practical, it didn't make sense. It had to be something that made sense. Like he used to tell me, you don't put your pants on after you put your shoes because it's not practical. So for me, I've always had that practical mindset when I see things like, hold on, wait a minute. We're doing street cleaning on Tuesday and then trash is on Wednesday, and then 9 out of 10 pieces of trash wind up on the street. So why not do it the same day? An hour after trash goes by, the street sweepers come through and clean up.
So we talked about two things so far as it pertains to residents and constituent services, parking and small business. We talked about your idea of combining trash day and street cleaning on the same day, with the idea that most of the residents will be at work or whatever. But let me ask you this, because I'm a driver. I fuss. It's aggravating. You were late because of traffic and whatnot. One of the things that when the mayor was on, and we can also talk about, because you're aware, things may have expedited with Mayor Wu, but this is a plan with this street and all this that has been in existence for like over a decade, from back when I was with Menino. With that in mind, one thing she said one day was, as I just said to you, pedestrians have the biggest number of incidents, then bikers, and then others and whatnot. So just generally, away from the frustration, how do you prioritize that information with the pedestrian piece? Because there's a lot of pushback around bike lanes. I got told not to say it like this, but white poles and bike lanes. Where's that balance for you with the pedestrian being the most impacted?
We still don't have sidewalks in certain streets.
Okay. Examples?
I put it up on a video the other day off of Cumming Highway. If you go from Morton Street and Harvard to Forest Hills, there's no sidewalk, and that's a major artery for folks going into downtown. If you live in that area, you're taking the bus from Morton Street to go into Forest Hills.
Yep.
Behind Faulkner Hospital, there's no sidewalks.
Now, that's state. I think Morton is state.
Listen, it's a city. Boston has jurisdiction just as much as the state. It's about working together collectively.
I agree with that. Yeah.
To make it happen, because when we put those new apartments, which they call the Harvard Commons,
yep,
they have sidewalks to a certain point.
Yeah.
And then it stops.
Because of the residential.
Right. Yeah. But when you're walking underneath American Legion Highway, there's no stairs to bring you up to American Legion Highway from Morton Street.
There's no stairs, there's no sidewalk. So with that being said, you would work in that particular case, you would work with the state, which would be, I don't even know if it's this highway traffic or whatever. Yeah. Department of Highway and Traffic. But generally, that is one example where there aren't sidewalks. Where there are sidewalks, where there are Blue Hill Ave, where there are regular areas that have your standard sidewalks, that piece of the pedestrian, how do you prioritize the pedestrian with the frustration of everything that we just talked about?
Well, we go back to the traffic lights. So, we had an individual lose their life at Forest Hills while crossing the street. Bus ran them over because the walk sign and the turn sign happens at the same time. There's no real delay. There should be more of a delay. We need folks to understand, you got to have that 30 seconds of patience. And we've gotten to a point where even pedestrians now, they cross the street in the green light and they casually stroll while looking at their phone while crossing the street.
Someone literally, Mingo, just commented and said, Milagro said people need to get off their cell phones while crossing the street, or even just waiting around and pay attention to where they're going. And so, that's valid, and that's, in tune with.
That's one of the things I love about New York. Go ahead and cross the street. See how quick you get hit.
Yeah.
With a ticket. I'm not talking about someone hitting you with a
car. Get the jaywalking.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's here in Massachusetts too. We just don't issue those citations.
And back to, and I missed one thing earlier. Traffic enforcement, something you've been talking about, combined. Lonnie said that if you can get them synced up to come after trash, also considering recycling. And now we also have compost. And now you have to
Well,
call to
listen,
get the
that's the
bed.
city. I mean, they put it out on a few years ago on the news how the city's just, you know, using that recycle piece to just create funding without doing the recycling. So it was
Now, when you
exposed.
explain that, when you say not doing the recycling,
Well, because it's a federal law. So every trash company has to recycle by law.
right?
So when they come out and say we're doing recycling and we're doing normal trash, the trash company has to do that by law. So we're paying for two separate services when the reality is the trash company has to do it by law. It's just like with the mattresses. You know, now you got mattresses everywhere. We're looking like the 80s when people used to just drive around, throw mattresses.
When you leave
empty
here,
out.
you're going to see, and it's the first of the month. There's a whole thing with the college movement. So to not get us too far out there, you're prioritizing pedestrians with way of
Not just
ensuring.
pedestrians, folks in wheelchairs, folks that have
Yes.
disabilities.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
a lot of our
Yep.
sidewalks are not handicap friendly. When you drive when you drive through the cemetery, there's no sidewalk. I've watched people in wheelchairs try to get from Cummings Highway to Walk Hill, and they're in the middle of the street because there's no sidewalks there. That's an olden area that, you know, it's kind of tough to get two sidewalks, but we should at least have one side of the street with a sidewalk, but we don't. Little infrastructure things like that is what I've been pushing. You know, our streets are not flooding because we're in a flood zone. Our streets are flooding because our drainage system is all full of trash.
If we can go there a little bit, because I've seen your post, and someone that's like for a few years really been in tune to climate change. Let's talk about that a little bit. I've seen posts. One of the viewers here, Reverend Grant, on the same street, Devon Street, posted when there was rain, and I thought about what you said before about, you know, trash and the drainage and whatnot. However, think about this: you got Blue Hill Ave, you got the upper part of Devon that what do you call it? Slopes, for lack of better words. That's an incline plane.
Yep.
And so there, I think it's both end, honestly, because I thought about it. That is it's a well, I don't know what the proper term is.
How big are those basins that catch the water?
On Devon Street.
They're not big.
Yep.
They're probably about 6 feet deep.
Okay.
So it's not like you got a swimming pool in these catch basins. So when they're full of trash, they're not able to go from basin to basin to basin to basin, because what it does is the first basin is picking up the trash so the water can flow to the second basin, and then it filters as it goes into the system. But the first basin is up to the drain pipe. So folks who understand septic systems and folks who are working with septic systems, it's the same system that we use for the basins. And we're not able to sustain because they're not maintenance on a regular.
So then what would be your, I mean, I presume what you're going to say, what would be your, go ahead.
These low level offenders who are sitting in South Bay, these are the community service we need. These are the jobs that we need to create to bring them back into society. So when they come out, we can add them to our DPW. We shouldn't just be giving private city funding to private entities like Newmarket Square to clean up Mass and Cass because of the overfill of what the city's not doing.
Because, with full disclosure, I'm a board member of New England Culinary and Training and Arts. I'm part of the conversation in Newmarket with them, that whole Newmarket area. And I am aware of some back things where entities in that area were cleaning up because of the issue, which we can get ready to go into that, Mass and Cass, that's one of me and violence, you and Mass and Cass.
We in violence and we in Mass.
Oh, me. Yes, sir.
I mean,
you can not so
team effort.
It was a team effort, but not talking about credit. I'm only talking about where if you want to see us turn up a little bit, those are two areas where, you know,
because it affects our community directly.
Very much so. So we're going to go into that in a second. So we were talking about the basins, climate change. The last thing you said was DPW. Oh, the giving the Newmarket Square funding. I am aware that we spent money because of what's going on there, and it was felt that, hey, because we're impacted by this as a city-state issue, I believe there was some conversation, and also Newmarket Square is a new designee of BID, which is the Business Improvement District.
They're trying to do the same thing that we did at Assembly Square in Somerville. They want to turn it into that.
Well, I would say more Dorchester Bay City is closer to the Assembly Square, and we can maybe talk about that
It's gonna
too.
have commercial on the first level, just like Assembly
Mhm.
Square, and then housing up top.
And the school is going over there as well.
School's already there, and
they're already.
And the traffic yesterday. Oh,
I mean, traffic in the okay. Let's stay focused because we went to Mass and Cass, and it's already 10:24, and I got a gig at 12. Mass and Cass. I'm going to ask you to cite what you've observed and working and has went well throughout the years that has been impactful. Can you cite anything that has went well and impactful?
None of it.
Mingo.
I'm dead serious, James. We did
as much as we've been down there.
It's nothing has changed. All the advocacy we did was just make things aware. That's it. People.
I struggle with nothing because
let me tell you why. So we had the new addition ceremony, right?
Yep.
So in front of Orchard Garden School to Dudley Street was where the event happened.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So from in front of the school on, the needles were ridiculous. I did a live. School starts tomorrow, and if you go there right now, in front of Boston Water and Sewer, there's another encampment. I found over 100 and something needles from Albany Street to Washington Street.
Consistent, yep.
And the AHO program literally pulls up.
The who?
The AHO program, who gives out the needles for the city.
Spell A-Hope.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said A-hole.
No, man, here you go.
I didn't. All right, the A-Hope program.
Yeah,
I
get you some headphones.
I have some, but you're here, so I can't. Don't start. Go ahead.
So, we're giving out 35,000 plus needles a week for a population that, the city's numbers say we have about 400 people on the streets of Boston. So when you do the math and you divide it, you're looking at almost 88 needles per person per week.
Doing it. I did the math.
It comes out to
it's almost
87.5 needles per person.
Divide that by 7.
No,
which is about only reason why I'm saying that is a per day use of those that are dealing with substance use. And
they're giving them 10 needles a day, just about.
And that's about the average. I'm learning some stuff just in real time that's the average about someone that's dealing with substance use in that form is using per day.
No,
on average, they're using more.
No, they're using less.
Okay, that's the thing.
So the city's response is we want to reduce transmittable diseases, but the numbers of the transmittable diseases have gone up.
Sexually, COVID, all of that, respiratory.
So it's like you're telling us you're doing something to help a person wean off the drugs without no outreach. You're just giving out needles without having any. That's a point of contact first and foremost. That point of contact is where you're supposed to make the connections with folks,
the individual,
to help them get off the drugs. Mm-hmm. But if I just give you the needles every day, give you the crack pipe every day, I give you everything you need
to keep using.
I'm enabling you even more, because now, back in the days, if you had, from what I've learned, somebody shooting up wasn't something that you did out in public. It was very private.
Yeah.
If you had a needle, you cherished it because you didn't know where you can get another one. Because if you got caught with a needle, you would be arrested. Today's world, we're giving out the needles. We're allowing people to shoot up in front of all sorts of people. And then we turn around and say, oh, this is harm reduction while causing more harm.
And that is where I was sort of going with this balance of law enforcement and then sensitivity to this, being a sickness. I want to go back to, again, I'm challenging you because as someone, as you cited, that we were on Mass and Cass. There was a period a couple of years ago that right after COVID doesn't, count.
During COVID.
During COVID was that's a whole nother. Let's talk past COVID, because there was, I want to remember, and it was.
Well, I just want you to remember during COVID is when the city allowed the open usage. That's when they created the comfort stations.
The harm reduction approach. So I want to go back to I want to go back and challenge you a little bit about nothing, because Mingo, there was a period that I would ride through Atkinson and shockingly, and I posted about it. Nobody was there, with the caveat of understanding nobody there. We also understood that there was impact in the outreach. That dense area was cleaned out or whatever. And then people, quote unquote, had to go somewhere. And so it's been cited and spilled. It, people are on here talking about it spilling into different areas. My thing is, what again, can you cite one action or thing that was good from the time you started advocating until now? Have you seen any effort or improvement? And I'm asking you this way for a reason.
Well, the only improvement I've seen is the collaboration between communities to work towards a better goal. Other than that, I mean, we created the South End Roxbury Community Partnership because of the struggle. I put a video out.
You got 8,000. You got receipts.
I mean, I put a video out at a meeting that they had in the South End that we crashed. And we had to crash it because no one wanted to invite us. And we're like, hold on, wait a minute. What's good for the South End is good for Roxbury. We're also going through this at alarming rates. And because we're not an influential community, we don't get a seat at the table. But then in the meanwhile, our families are the ones that are walking through folks who are, you know, occupying spaces like sidewalks. I mean, we were talking about pedestrian safety. Mass and Cass has some of the highest numbers of casualties because the sidewalks are all fenced off. People have to literally walk on the street.
And that varies. It sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. Sometimes there's light, sometimes there's. So okay. You answered the question. You said the coming together of community. One thing that you said, and we'll move away from this, and I'll just reiterate, when you were here before, you talked about those needles and the amount and how you would address that is putting tracking numbers on the needles.
But we got to rewrite. It's a 91 ordinance that was created for the AIDS, HIV.
Yep, pandemic. You mentioned that. Yep.
You know, we need to rewrite that to accommodate today's needs. Listen, I want to help any and everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to, again, I even go back because people are always shaming the drug dealer. And I always say they have issues too. They're not out there because they just want to be out there. They're out there for social, economic empowerment. People out there using and selling. 9 out of 10 of the dealers are also users.
I would trust.
We used to say the weed man is the crack man's best friend. That was the saying.
Wait a minute, weed man is the crack man. Yeah. Is the crack man's best friend. I get that, but with that particular type of usage, it and that's come up with the encampments. It's come up during the time when they got cleared out, and those that are using and preying upon versus those that are dealing with the sickness. And so it going back to resolution, tracking numbers on the needles. One other thing that you would do, and how would you approach? Stephanie's on talking about the push out when we clear up Massacas. Let's say that was just clear all the time. They're going somewhere. What would you do with this? And you know about this, the city and the state. There still is not a fully impactful relationship between different mayors, the governor, some convening or something. How would you bring the state in an impactful manner? And some of the chatter through the years has been holding other cities accountable. Right. How would you do that?
Well, again, it goes back to us creating this table of community. It's not about the electeds. It's about the people in the community to come together. When you have families in Worcester putting out flags to memorize or memorialize victims every year. You know, every year we're putting out 2,300 flags to symbolize folks who have lost their lives to the pandemic. And this is where we come together as communities, like we did with the South End, is to get all these communities at the table and force our elected officials to make moves.
How would you do that, particularly through budget? Because it would be the governor that would, well, again, more than likely.
They all have to be voted in. And if we're pressing the issue and they don't have a solution like we did in 21, where we said no plan, no vote. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, every single elected that was running for office,
Massacas was a.
They started saying we're gonna, and Long Island still hasn't been, not even maintained. The lights are on. We're paying the light bill. We're paying the gas bill, but it hasn't been maintained. Me as mayor, listen, we'll bring a whole bunch of students out of Madison Park and we'll start fixing stuff. We will use our again, low-level offenders and give them the opportunity to get into the trades using sweat equity. I go back to Mel King's system. I mean, he did it through the 60s and the 70s, that he was giving residents opportunities to put in sweat equity for home ownership.
again, had some things in mind, but based on your questions, there's a couple of things I want to ask you about, and I don't have my pen. We're going to go back to affordable housing in a second. So far, barcodes, getting back to some sort of reinvigoration of getting Long
Well, you know,
Island.
the engagement center's been closed for the last few years. We spent all this money
Now, when you say
building.
engagement, you mean on Mass and
It's on
Cass,
Atkinson.
or
It's on
yeah,
Atkinson Street. It's where people are supposed
it's I'd say when you say it's closed,
it's closed. The
re-
door's closed. Watch my video from yesterday. It's closed.
when did that happen? Because I
It's
was
been
just
closed for
down.
over 2 years.
Only reason I pushed back on that, I was down there with D Burger last summer, and they were in and out, and they were feeding them an active, and so I seen it
Where?
open
Not
at the
on
engagement. So when
That's
you
the
come down
shelter.
Atkins
That's the shelter. The engagement center's across the street from Suffolk House of Correction.
on the so when you go
It's on the
if the
corner.
court is on your left, the engagement is on your right, and then when you turn the corner is the shelter.
The shelter's right on the corner on Atkinson Street.
I'm trying to picture in my mind. Well,
On
they were there.
Bradshaw, on the corner of Bradshaw and Atkinson, is the engagement center. It's a brand new building.
That's the one right across from the jail, right?
It's been closed for over 2 years.
Okay, because where I went was around the
And
corner.
why would you build a building that's only one story for an issue?
But wasn't that the
ongoing?
main harm reduction center? That was where they were doing the main exchange.
We have nowhere to place people. So why would you only build a one-story building when we could have built as big as South Bay? South
Now,
Bay's
was
11
that
story tall.
was that built for a needle exchange and harm reduction day to day, or was that built? You're saying first answer that. Was that your understanding the intent for day to day harm reduction engagement? Yes or no?
Yes, that's what it was built for.
And then you're saying that what?
The issue is bigger than the building.
Facts.
So,
yeah.
Instead of seeing the issue as big as it is, they'll say, "Oh well, we'll just make this building so we can say we're doing something." And then reality is, Long Island is off grid. So why not build something that's going to accommodate? At least now you have a point of contact. Someone wants to go into a bed today.
You're saying treatment bed, not residential. Treatment beds is now
long term, because people who are suffering
on Mass and Cass. When I'm asking you this because on Mass and Cass, one of the issues was the density of decentralizing. So how are you balancing decentralizing and then having long term, which in a sense is residential beds at the same time?
Well, because you got to remember, because we don't have Long Island.
Yep.
We have to do something.
Absolutely.
Yep. We got to move the needle on the issue.
Don't say
no
needle.
Pun intended.
The bingo.
I'm just saying,
know,
Jay,
I know.
Because when someone comes to you and says, "Listen, man, I want to get off the streets today," and you're like, "Hold on, wait a minute, I got to find you a bed," you just lost.
So let me ask you this. It gets into another question. Who's getting the contracts are there active contracts to people away from the 4 or 5 people in that area that go down and service? Are you aware that other entities are funded by the city or state in that area to provide services?
We don't have them. Galvin Foundation is the only one that they feed. Meanwhile, Torch Life in the middle of the Mecca doesn't have the capacity to give people beds. They only have day-to-day service because they don't have the capacity. And we would like to see them gain the capacity to help.
Where and how would you do that if they don't have the capacity? That means they would need brick and mortar. And are you saying that the city and or state should be funding them to go beyond?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Listen, we had 10 years ago, we had the ability to help Quincy Hospital turn into a treatment center. And that was pushed aside.
Quincy
Hospital, when they closed. It's a hospital. It's already built for that. It's already built
in Quincy.
Okay. But Quincy's like, we don't want to do A, B, and C because, our multi-million-dollar homes is not going to be affected by the issues that Boston face. And again, this is when you make promises to unions about jobs, and then all of a sudden you can't get the job done. So you create new jobs. Like, we went from the bridge to City Hall Plaza. That was $115 million.
What do you mean went from the bridge to City Hall?
Marty's promise to the trades was, listen, we're going to tear the bridge down and we're going to build a new one, and you guys are going to have work for 3 years. Meanwhile,
Quincy said,
no. And anyone in construction would tell you, never get a long form. Always get a short form. Change the door and then add to the permit. You want to add to the permit. I mean, I've never seen
what we're getting out of him now is his, let me get this right because we're on opposite sides. What we're getting out of him now is also his knowledge as a business owner, construction. There was a question earlier about construction egress. Mingo, I'm going to jump a little bit on a subject that I think you and I is important to us. We're Black men. On the other side of that, I had a Black woman of Cape Verdean descent, Tanya, on last week for 3 hours and 15 minutes. I just will
Nice.
never forget, brother, that I slept for like 4 hours after that because I learned a lot. There's some shared, things and observations that both you and she have. But one thing that she said was, I said, "You're a Black woman of Cape Verdean descent." She looked in the camera and said, "I'm a Black woman." I want to ask you, because from the conversation around our numbers in the diaspora locally and then also nationally, can you talk a little bit about this? Tell us how you identify and why. And I'm only asking this because I know you can speak to it, and you are actively identify with both, if there's a both, cultures and populations. So I just, not so much politics, but I'm going somewhere with this. How do you identify and why? And
Well,
and give some thought to
no,
this thing
it's a great question because growing up on Dudley, not knowing my origins, I was just a kid from the neighborhood till someone said to me, "You're Cape Verdean." I'm like, "Okay, what's
and
that?"
until then you identified as just you was Black.
I was Bostonian
Boston. Okay.
because as a kid, you don't really
That's
see
where you
race.
live. How do you identify as? Okay, I'll give you that. As a kid,
You know what I mean? As
yep.
a kid, you don't.
Times were different back then.
Well, I mean,
Now,
it's because we was an adults. It's the same now. Most kids now who are under the age of 7 don't really identify as anything. They're just kids. They just want to play. We had a professor out of Harvard who was adopting kids, and she was doing a study on racism, and she was showing how it's a mental disease because it's taught to you. And she adopted kids from all over different spectrums of the world, right? And from what I got out of that is, if you put a soccer ball in a group of kids, no matter where they come from, they're gonna play soccer,
no matter what.
no matter what.
All right.
And being Cape Verdean, I didn't fully understand what it was till I got to high school.
Okay.
And I started seeing a lot of my countrymen at Madison.
Yep.
And how they were being treated by friends of mine who were Black.
Okay.
And they were,
and not Mingo. Mario had talked about this similarly as well, as being picked on because.
Right.
Yep.
So me being me, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, that's not cool. Like, why y'all picking on them? What they do to y'all? Well, they're greenhorns. What's that?
What does that mean?
Greenhorn meaning like you're not from here. You're new to the country. You don't speak the language. So I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, that ain't cool. Like, what they do to y'all? Did they bother y'all? Did they do something to y'all? So that's when I started getting more engaged with my Cape Verdean friends who were coming from Cape Verde, from Cabo Verde, and they would explain to me, this is what it is. This is what happened. We've been liberated since 1975, and this is Amilcar Cabral, and I started doing my own.
This is what?
Amilcar Cabral, who he's the equivalent of Malcolm.
Oh, that's a person.
Yeah, he's a person. He was the one that was liberating. He was educated and then became, very revolutionary for the community and gave us the opportunity to separate from Portugal. Because anything before 75, you were actually under the Portuguese flag.
So
like a lot of other countries that were under the British authorities,
the colonizers. Right. So you gave us the history. Right now, how do you identify and how do you handle still some? It came up mainly for me in 13 when John Barrows ran. There was this thing that some of the Black community was saying he wasn't Black. There's also now this piece, Domingo, of Wawa used this term the other day, foundational Black Americans, and the conversation about, immigrants who forced here or have come here. I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Well, I just want to add, I'll add to this. Remember, we sailed the ships
from Portugal.
The Portuguese built the ships, the Cape Verdeans sailed them. We've been here since day one. Okay. We've been part of the conversation. Now, have we been identified in a lot of the conversation? No.
So up until identification, are you saying that generally those of Cape Verdean descent in this country until about 75 were identifying as black.
That's Portuguese.
Well, it's Portuguese. Okay,
Because
it's
they
Portuguese.
were under the Portuguese flag.
So then that almost leads a little bit, and I want to hear your thoughts in general. So did you answer? You identify as
My culture is Cape Verdean, Cabo Verdeano.
Yep.
I'm African.
Okay.
Period. Like,
and what would you say to somebody that's watching now that, and I'm just playing because I know trolls. He didn't say he's black.
I'm black. I mean, black again.
I just had the thought, so I had to
I'm not
ask.
a crayon, so I could never fit in a box. So they give us the label of being black. I mean, again, if you look at these speakers are black.
Okay. In the context of we talking about that, I want to ask you a little bit about immigration. There, we have the Trust Act. There's some conversation the mayor put us on as a target versus Trust Act was adopted years ago. Where do you stand if you were mayor today? Would you enforce the Trust Act? And how and would you work with the federal administration with the priority of potential losing major funding? So 2 questions there. Would you
2 and 1
still support the I can do 5 and 1.
Well,
Trust Act, and then how would you manage budgetarily any impact depending on your stance?
Well, my thing is I'm going to enforce the state constitution because every state has its own constitution. And then we'll talk about
what does the state constitution particularly say in reference to the Trust Act?
The Trust Act's not in there.
In the state constitution.
The Trust Act is a city ordinance, just like the needle exchange.
Right.
Just like that. I can't protest somebody before 9 a.m.
Oh, I thought you was going to say the governor.
No.
So wait a minute, Mingo. Wait, because I need to hear.
Advocate. You know that.
So am I hearing you right that and I got to go and look because Governor Healy has demonstrated no. What I mean is she's been kind of conservative. She backpedaled.
She got elected saying she was a sanctuary state. And then when the fire started to burn, she's like, no, I got nothing to do with it. I got nothing to do with it.
So with that being said,
we need to work.
Would you not hold on? Because I want to hear you correctly. Would you not enforce the Trust Act as a city ordinance, as a sanctuary city?
What I'm saying is we need to educate people on what it is.
On what the sanctuary status is.
Of what it means.
What it means.
What they don't understand is if it's a criminal offense, right? You're not going to the courthouse just for a parking ticket. Yeah. If you're at the courthouse, that means you violated not only the federal law of being here illegally, you've also violated the law of the state.
It varies.
So that means if I'm in front of a judge today for a criminal offense, Boston police has to turn you into ICE.
Now there's
that's what the language says. If it's a
criminal offense, and then I don't know the semantics of a misdemeanor versus
which is totally different.
Yep.
Because even a misdemeanor is criminal. Possession of marijuana is a misdemeanor.
It is a misdemeanor. It's a criminal.
Distribution is a felony
if it's proven, and depending on how much. And just shout out, we're talking about marijuana. Shout out to Illegal Marijuana Firehouse, brother Amani from Hyde Park. Just popped on Instagram.
This is what I'm saying though, because now possession isn't criminal.
So I don't want to get too far off, but Mingo, what I'm going to push you as a candidate. Yes or no answer. Would you uphold the Trust Act?
No. And the reason why is because again, it's an ordinance. It's not a law. If we make it a law of the state, then
so then would you? And I have to look and do some research. And if anybody knows, if it was because home rule petition and it being codified, I believe on a municipal level makes
that's
it
not a state law.
That's absolutely right. It's not a state law. But if
I cannot drive to Connecticut with an ounce of weed.
And say that Mingo, I know that. So I want you to
I always go back to the weed because that used to be the biggest issue in the black community. Even last night,
when we're the imbalance of the law.
I'm sitting in the audience and I'm listening to these are the issues in the black community. I'm like, nothing about violence, nothing about education.
Again,
nothing. I
just told you a few minutes ago. We'll get totally and we can cover it a little bit. So You won't support the sanctuary.
And mind you, I'm the only immigrant on stage. I'm the only immigrant on stage. So what I'm saying to us as a community is, if we're looking to make that official, we need to make it a law of the state.
So how would
not a city ordinance, because it ain't fair to
but
us
you
as a
know
city.
where so I spirit of the law, letter of the law. The spirit of that law is we're an embracing city.
No, we're going to protect people, but we got to protect it under the law.
I hear you. Understood. Fair. How would you give me 30 seconds of how and what positions, maybe not individuals, how would you expedite on day one getting that codified by a state law, also based on what you said, because it has to go through the House, the legislature, and whatnot, and the governor's been kind of conservative. How would you get that to become law?
We have to petition every single lawmaker in Beacon Hill. We have to get the governor on our side. The governor used it as a talking point, because 9 out of 10
he's Armani, he is not pro ICE. He's basically saying that he wants it. No, you explained it, because you see my foot was under here shaking. I was like, now wait a minute. But I hear
but I'm not as against the BRIC program that the city continues to use to round up my neighbors, using the feds to give them charges that they can't put on them, city or state, that won't stick. But because of the federal RICO Act, it's easy for me to round up people who already
222. That's two separate issues, which is going to bring me. It's the federal government, but it's now also going to bring. Okay, first let's
immigration.
Let's finish this. Let's finish this. And I'm doing well without handwritten notes. Let's finish this. So, you're not saying that you're pro ICE.
No, why would I be?
Words matter. And even me that knows you, I had to sit here.
You know how many of my cousins have been deported over the years?
I did not know the number, but I have that understanding. It's just that you, and here's the strategist in me. You just want to be very clear in articulating that you appreciate the municipal ordinance of it, but you believe the best impact and pushback against the Trump administration is to codify it into state law for the whole state.
Put it in our
state constitution. I'm with you.
Then the federal constitution doesn't supersede the state constitution. That's what people don't understand.
It as long as you can point to public safety and whatnot. All right, Bingo, it's 10:51. We got a couple of other things. So you got ready to talk about Fed gang database and whatnot. Recently, there was a budget or a hearing about, and you were there, if I understand right, where there was, and it was two separate issues, and I'm going to try.
They were using a monitoring system, right? One is to track rats.
It was and similar what the feds do. They put all this thing in one little bill and ordinance.
You're talking about tracking rats that have been here longer than the dinosaurs. Like, come on, that's just another waste of city funds on something that we need to be able.
That was the surveillance.
Yeah, we need to.
And then there was.
Boston, and then there was 2 days trash pickup to deal.
Well, some areas have it. We got 2 days here in Roxbury,
and that's my point. Some areas do and some areas don't. That's not equality.
But because I always wanted it had to be data driven. I just used to always say, well, damn,
the whole city
generates more trash.
The whole city needs it.
When I lived in Dorchester, one day a week did work.
How?
Because we had the barrels outside, one for each apartment.
You know how many landlords?
I'm just saying,
how many landlords don't even provide barrels?
But that's up to the landlords, which again, ISD, the city needs.
Where's the incentive?
You don't need an incentive to have a proper barrel for your resident.
Where my mom lives in Brockton, she gets free trash barrels from the city, and all she got to do is call and say it's damaged. They bring her a new one.
Regular trash barrel or recycle?
Regular trash barrels and a recycle bin. The trash barrel is a third of the size of the recycle bin.
A third of the size.
I've been waiting for a compost barrel for over 2 years.
You compost?
I do compost because we got a garden.
Okay.
So the city is not eligible for everybody. I shouldn't have to call you for a recycle bin. You should automatically update my recycle bin every few years. I shouldn't have to call you for a compost bin. It should automatically, because
no, hold on, because everybody doesn't compost, and why are you doing that? And you're paying for the supplies.
Anyone that owns a home in Boston longer than 30 years will tell you there used to be these silhouettes in your backyard with a metal lid, and I'll send you pictures of it because I know people that
keep talking because it was in the ground.
It was in the ground that you would come
Greenville Street
and vacuum it out. It had a metal lid on it, and it said the name of the company, and it will come out every week to take out your compost from underground.
Well, we didn't use it, but I remember playing in the backyard and seeing
stuff. It was a cultural thing. It was something just like wax paper. paper bags. Those were cultural. Those were things that were done by the community because that's what we had to do until plastic bags came around.
And then plastic bags got going. And I understand the environment, but there's an equity in, because
dude, I find more needles. I find more needles than trashy bags on the streets of Boston.
Plastic bags, you mean?
Yeah,
but more needles than plastic.
I find more needles than plastic bags in the city of Boston.
You have made me tired in this interview, and we got to get ready. We got to get ready because just the exchange and I want to make sure.
A lot of frustration in our city, brother.
It's a lot of frustration. We haven't even got to violence
yet.
You're
talking about the 68% that can't read coming out of high school that just graduated.
Okay.
Madison Park failing the MCAS that they haven't put the numbers out because they don't.
Let's talk a little bit about education. What is it that you would do on day one to reform?
7 to 7. 7 to 7.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
7 a.m.
How would you fund it? How would you fund it?
It's already there. BCYF has been there for the last 50 years.
So it would be a combo between.
It won't be arguments between the two departments on who's going to front the bill when the city's the one fronting the bill. You have two departments that should be working side by side on every issue, but instead it's not my job to fix the pool. No, it's not my job to maintain the pool. It's not my job to keep the classrooms clean. It's not my job to educate these kids. We need before and after school services. We need these kids to learn how to swim during school using lifeguards like myself.
So you're saying that the money is there, just needs to be reallocated in the budget.
It needs to be better coordinated. We always hear this, we're coordinating. Then when you speak to people, it was like, nah, we don't get along with them. I had a public work, a Boston Health Commission police officer tell me yesterday that he does not put in reports for needles because it's not part of his job on Atkinson Street.
When he sees them or someone brings them to them, because if there's any engagement.
Both. He told me both. I pointed the needles to him. Look, there's
now,
needles here.
This is hear me out here from not logistics and just hear it was a thought someone to say it based on the amount of numbers that you're saying. It's almost become a norm that they don't even document it because it's just seen.
So what do we need them for? What do we need Boston Public Health Commission police officers? What do we need them for?
We need them. My understanding is 11010. To any other property.
Why? But we got rid of municipal police because they said
that was state. That wasn't that was years ago.
That's not municipal. That was metropolitan.
When we had the metropolitan.
Right.
Yes.
We talking about municipal police that used to do, and we have them at City Hall. They used to do all public buildings, all city buildings and parks.
I'd have to go back because there was the breakdown of the metropolitan and the MDC.
They turned them into MDC,
and
metropolitan, and they became part of the state police.
I would have to go back and do some research on that. All right. So, Jesus, it's 10:56. Let me ask you a couple of candidate questions and then we'll get ready to wrap up. How much is the city budget right now?
We're about 5 billion now.
Okay. And is that
and it's only
break that down? Is it just money? Is it assets, property? Is it what?
Well, that's just the budget. That's the money we're spending per year.
5 billion.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're spending 40% of our budget.
What is
the
DPS? What is the total with budget and assets, real property? What is the city's budget?
Well, as a whole, because you got to remember, the city doesn't really put out these numbers for us to see. So you got to literally like dig till you can't find anything because that's how they do it. You go on the website.
There was something
they just give you, little numbers here, little numbers there, but they don't give you the full total because the city continues to sell off city property under our noses. This is, going back to that surveillance piece that Boston Police Department bought a facial recognition system
software
over 10 years ago using drug money that was seized. It was never a line item. It was money that was used, that they seized, that they used to buy the software.
You're saying the BPD has asset forfeiture?
Yeah, they do. And this is where Rachel Rollins, when she came in, she was talking about this is where we're going to get the money to do A, B, and C.
From cities, but that's not city. That's county.
So Boston Police has these funds sitting, and they take them and they use them, just like this new software that they putting out on social media. And you can go on my page and watch it. You can go on the
hearing. So we didn't finish that. Do you, away from the rats and all that other stuff, because this is a little bit in violence, and we today's what, Wednesday? I don't know if we're going to be able to fit in another one before Tuesday. That hearing that you were, I believe that issue was because I had talked to someone in admin. I conflated the OPAT issue with the surveillance issue. And so that day it was voted, I believe, to go to committee to further study the surveillance,
Well, at first,
further funding or further use of the surveillance,
at
correct?
first it was passed. Then Ed Flynn asked for a roll call vote.
Yep.
During the roll call vote is where they was like, hold on, wait a minute, let's send this to a review committee to review.
And what was the purpose of the review?
So they can have further discussion on how it's going to impact us as a city.
And the other piece we found out was BPD was not doing their proper reporting.
Well, they were already using it.
They were using it, but they were, if I understood right, there was right, but they haven't been, and which is,
so don't say proper reporting, without reporting.
Without report. Well, when I say proper, they didn't report.
No,
whether
proper means you're doing things right. You might have forgot step 3 and
when I said when I said proper, it meant no damn reports.
No,
the other say that. Here's the other thing, and it's no cap, and you know this. BPD has, I won't say always, but since I've been active around, they've all outside of Menino, and maybe in the beginning they did their own thing, and then after about 2 terms, he got them. They've always been sort of this independent kind of.
There's no accountability.
Admin finds out, and that's been
there's no accountability for BPD.
Administrations.
Well, I mean, listen, the kids from Heat Street got picked up with that surveillance. That's how they got those kids from Heat Street from music videos. The kids from Norton Street got picked up with the same surveillance. So they're saying we're using it to monitor because in today's
and it brings up the convo about the gang database
with the federal issues. We want to make sure we keep Bostonians safe, but at the same time, you're picking up Bostonians because they put out a video talking about A, B, and C.
So that's what I was going to ask, and we really got to get ready to wrap up because I told Burr I would be there at 11:30.
I'll drop you off.
I'm driving.
You drive, man. It's a red car too, right?
You see me in my red car.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you, man.
I'm exhausted, y'all.
You can get your car fixed at Madison, right?
Huh?
The students will do your brakes and change your oils at a reduced price.
I get that done for free with my flex car service.
Okay, no, I'm just you
got to promote Madison.
You know that, right?
Mingle. We what I want to wrap up, and I want to be intentional to the audience and with you in asking this, just in case maybe I can ask it after Tuesday. Numbers, polls, all that other stuff.
Which polls?
The one where you came out with 2.8 over Capuccio that only had 0.8, and you placed in that poll. I don't care how low the number was. I sat there proud and read that you placed.
I appreciate
it. It a little bit here as we get ready to wrap up. I asked about the black man piece because one of the intentions today was that while I understand that entities, groups, and whatnot, it happens at presidential, it happens at gubernatorial and municipal. They put these standards in place for debates and things like that. Some do, some don't. Some say if you're on the ballot, come talk. Some say okay. And some say you have to have this amount of fundraising. And then in one particular case we talked about, it was polled and the community was like, yeah, we want to hear from them too. There is a conversation this evening, and it's by entities that are black focused. The reason why I had asked you about that question earlier, how you identify and whatnot, as a black man that has been very leaderful in a political space in this city, how are you handling understanding some of those limitations, but then when it comes to conversations to where they're targeting our community and you may not been included, how do you, I know on one hand you show up, how do you, I'm going to go ahead, it sounds a little bit corny, but how do you keep going and handle that? Because there was some pushback on social media about you not being, as a black man, not being included.
Well, it just again, Bigma and Embrace Boston, right? They showing people their true colors. This is not about moving us as a community forward. And I always say us as a community because, again, I grew up in a neighborhood that we had everybody. Just because you were white didn't mean you didn't belong. I have cousins who are darker than dark, and I have cousins who are light as paper because the diaspora of black comes in different colors, right? So the criteria to get on the ballot for any position is to collect signatures from your neighbors, regardless of where they live. As long as they're registered voters in the city of Boston, you are able to run for an elected position. Now, these criteria these groups put in is for their own interest. Because if it was about the community and the people as a whole, you wouldn't create your own criterias. You would go off the only criteria, which is collecting certified signatures.
Mm-hmm.
District 200, at large 1,500, mayor
3,000.
3,000.
Yep.
So, not to discredit anybody, but to get 3,000 signatures in 20 days with relatives and friends, it's not an easy task.
Not at all.
I had folks reach out to me for $1.50 a signature.
Huh?
These are groups of people that go from election to election promoting their services. So for every signature that
they would charge you $1.50.
They would charge me $1.50. I put my boots to the streets, and I was out there till 11.
And it's not uncommon that some campaigns have hired staff.
Yeah, of course.
To help.
If you got the funding, go for it.
But
like I was trying to tell people, this is the reason why we can't get folks we want in position, because you discredit someone like myself I was out there till 11 o'clock at night collecting signatures.
We saw.
I was out there from 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, making sure these numbers were coming in. Every time I turned in the sheet, they tell me, oh, only 15 of those are good. I gave you 200 signatures and you're telling me only 15. So we have questions on the process also, because the city right now is in receivership on the election department. The Secretary of State is actually running this mayor.
There was that. I know there was speculation.
No.
When did it happen?
It's been happening. It happened about 3 months ago.
Okay.
They came in and took over this election because of what happened during the presidential election, where we ran out of ballots.
I remember that.
And that was the direction given.
Jesus. 3 months ago. Okay.
It was direction given at 80%. Of the ballots needed to be put at these voting polls because people were doing mail-ins and early voting.
I remember there was a lot of controversy.
Oh yeah, so the conversation's been happening, but behind scenes, they've been moving pieces. So now it's beyond official.
In full receivership.
Yeah, look it up.
I'm going to look it up. I
embrace them not including me, because now the community that I represent understand why we're underrepresented.
There's those systems, and again, I get the stipulations to some extent, and in all fairness to Beckma and Embrace, other entities have done this as well, but I saw the pushback on social media, I think just because of the community's perception of their focus and you being from community and a Black man. Last thing, and I promise, because I got to get out of here. I'm glad everything is semi-packed. Tuesday. What's the plan for Tuesday?
Oh, we're going to be at the polls. We're going to be picking up people, dropping off people, getting people to get involved, come out and vote. We're asking folks to come and show them, again, to the point about, being excluded. Let's show them what we can do as a city. Let's show them how we can change history, and show them that, again, people keep coming to me talking about David and Goliath. This is one of those stories. I didn't ask for money because I didn't feel that I needed money.
Okay. I had a strategist on a few weeks ago, favorable towards you and love you. But from a strategist, away from a personality and person standpoint, with the signatures, from a strategist standpoint, there was the observation of, you can't raise at least. Did you raise at least 10,000?
I think I raised a little more than that.
Okay. And at that time, maybe, not or whatever, but there, as a strategist in Boston Poly, there was sort of that thing like and I get, because part of your model has been not the money and community and whatnot, but even the Bible says money answereth all things. Mailers.
Well, tell to Harriet.
To who?
I keep hearing people telling me all these things, and I say, go look at our ancestors. You think Harriet had flyers? You think she put a flyer?
She didn't have flyers,
but meet me under the tree and we're gonna run down the street. I'm just saying, James.
I get the principle of what you're saying. Word of mouth, absolutely. But I just, you brought up.
So you want me to spend $8 million like these two on slandering?
Don't make me. First of all,
I'm just saying.
Mingo, we're talking about you today, and I will not get started on.
And I've gotten again, the poll that people are looking at is the 98.1, the urban heat.
I saw the urban heat.
53 plus and then people are talking about, oh, that's the hood.
You
what,
definitely
the hood don't matter?
Who said that's the hood?
That's what it said in some of the comments. Oh, these are people from the hood. What, the hood doesn't matter?
They were saying it derogatorily, so?
They were trying to discredit the poll.
Black people?
Yes. Because the black community doesn't matter. We can talk about our issues on stage, but we don't come up with real solutions.
Mingo, it's now 11:10.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good because that's a whole nother conversation away from this election, but it's a part of after the election is, I don't know if you were in that meeting in 13, the 12th Baptist, where it was John, Charlotte, and all them. And
I didn't get an invite.
That's a whole nother combo. But we no matter if you went in, we're going to have to figure a way, to hold you accountable. We now have to really, and we've said it, figure out a way how to hold no matter who wins accountable all our elected officials, not just mayoral, but city council at large and district. And so I do want to, you are considered a sleeper. Tuesday is going to be it's going to be interesting. And there's among some pundits now.
James, did you know in 2017 with $2,200, I got 13,000 votes?
You got 13,000 votes.
I spent less than 23 cents
I've asked you. Well, I did ask you this on
you know that, right? 23 cents a vote. When you do the math,
you paid 23 cents.
That's what I spent.
That's what you
versus what they're spending at
now. We're gonna get ready to go after this because the spending on the other stuff is not comparable. You got one expenditure from one candidate for $890,000 to a media company. To a media company.
I wish they would have gave you a cut.
From this candidate I'm talking about. I don't want no cut. Don't get me started. Hold on. Let me get you off the screen so you don't get in trouble. I'm not going to cuss you out. What I'm about to say is some of these some of these candidates wanted to come on, and when am I coming on? Hold on. Want to come on Java with Jimmy and talk for free, but then they place an ad somewhere else.
I know.
And didn't place an ad here.
And some of these candidates are being funded by this candidate.
Huh? Oh, Mingo, we get ready to get off of here, everybody, because
if we're gonna play devil's advocate, play devil's advocate.
There's a whole bunch of Boston is not for sale. Shit.
It's been for sale. Sorry. Even we was getting money from Kraft.
Back in the donations, yeah.
Oh, so I don't get to
no. I didn't say you didn't get to say that. I said the clarity.
I said so I didn't get the stadium, so now I'm running for mayor. Because you won't sign off on my stadium.
Mingo! Because someone in a regular, I got to get off of here. My thing is, Ninja, because yo, he does this to me in person all the time, and he's doing it purposely right now on the Calvin.
Look, you look like your hat right now.
What
already? I'm sorry.
No, because there's just so much.
I know.
As much as and one thing I love and respect about you, you know where I lean. Everything is not perfect. No, and my thing is, I hope that, and there's some implications in this statement, but I'm gonna be my authentic self. Numbers and polls and past numbers and all that other stuff. Say Tuesday may be very interesting. I've said this to you privately, and I'm gonna say it to you publicly. That 13,000 from 17 and the 3 that you got on this signature and everybody else that has supported, raised, and liked and talked about I got text last night talk about if I lived in Boston, I'd be voting for Mingo. We need you to be very intentional about what you're going to do to continue to raise the power, your power that is heavily informed by the community. And I'm going to say it not just in the antagonistic, call out the mess, but spend 75% on promoting what the community is communicating to you that they want as the resolution. We need you. And I would say to either candidate, and you're a business owner and all that other stuff, but I would say to either candidate that if they or whoever state level, what they're now, I know going inside is an interesting conversation, but I know that one of the true tests of people that run for office and their commitment is that even if they don't run for office, even if not successful or successful, there's still, and you've proven that through your runs for at large, and so I
didn't disappear.
You didn't disappear. And that's the thing where some of these candidates, all these at large and all these D7s
disappeared.
You give them a little 6-week period to, recoup, get back with their family and whatnot. But are we going to still see you in the community at the level that not you, I'm talking about them. Right. Are we still going to see them in the community at the same level that they were on the campaign trail?
No.
And so
I
I
haven't
know
seen
with most of them we're not. So
I love you, man.
I love you too, man. I'm just I was intentional about today, even with where I'm leaning and whatnot, because at the end of the day, I've seen the commitment. I've
Listen, vote September night. Give me the opportunity to continue forward. Make sure people see how we can change Boston. Let's don't let again, Monday's protest was about billionaires taking over our country. Let's don't let that happen here in Boston. Let's come out and make sure people see that we as a city still care for us as a city. You know what I mean? I've been here through the thick and the thin, and I'm not going nowhere.
I know that's right.
I started this journey at the age of 11. I never thought I'd ever be in political office because it wasn't part of my destiny.
What happens if you never get in political office?
Listen, I got more stones to throw. I'm just
we'll
saying,
talk off
James.
camera. More stones to throw, and then throw through there a freaking paper after you put the whole of this is what we demand. Because the stones are the I know. I've thrown a lot.
You know how that goes. People don't want to see us
in
those capacities because we actually make change. And when you make real change, I mean, I did it in four corners and through my years with the city. I didn't have a budget. I saved thousands of lives. I taught hundreds of thousands of kids to swim. From a swimming pool, I was able to do more as a lifeguard, where people thought I was a youth worker, where people thought I was
that's how we met.
People thought I was a street worker because I was doing every single title within the department because it was important for my community to succeed. And that community is Boston. It wasn't just one particular corner of the city because I didn't roll like that. I never had an issue flowing through the city. I still don't have an issue flowing through the city because I've always been that person that had the mindset that collectively we can do better versus individually. So anyway, thank you, man. Appreciate.
I mean, no thanks, man. It was important to me to it was a personal thing of just, and we talked, and I thought it was important to allow this platform to continue, and still will, and always have. Back when we was even down with the damn thing on my shoulder or mass and cast to give voice. So we got to get ready to wrap up. I encourage you to go through the comments on James and Java. There's a lot of love in here.
Thank you, guys.
And people said on Instagram, Domingos, you won't be able to see once we end it, but CMJS, my mommy, Domingos is an amazing human. So proud of my friend. Other comments over on Instagram included Monty was asking the clarity about the Trust Act. And so it some of the other comments I'll just give a couple.
James, last piece on that, then I'll walk away. Until you go through the process of what it takes to get someone from your place of origins to America, you will never fully understand how difficult it is for people. It's a money grab. 10 grand just to get someone here.
To help because people will help you with the paperwork and all that other stuff.
It has to be a parent petitioning for a child or a child petitioning for a parent. So I can't petition my cousin. I can petition my sister. I can petition my mom or my dad. And that's what my dad did. My uncle came in the 60s. My dad came in the 70s. And I showed up undocumented because no one knew I was I wasn't a part of the conversation when my pops put the paperwork in. So when I arrived, that was 10 months with no paperwork.
And that is, with our foundational Black Americans, and I get it, some of our immigrant community will not. They Black as hell.
Do you know
and
they
won't say that they Black.
The TPS is over on Monday. For people that are from Honduras.
No, I thought September. Oh, for Honduras. Haiti is February, right?
It's done. People from Honduras. My wife is from Honduras. We're going through.
Is she good?
My wife's cool.
Oh,
but I'm saying her relatives that she have are going through,
anxiety and
life changing because now they're trying to figure. They're homeowners, they're business owners. They've established 30 years.
Last question: yes or no? Would you ever run for any office besides municipal? Would you run for state or federal office? I've heard a lot from the state codifying of the Trust Act to you're talking the immigration piece, and that level is not municipal.
Right, I know. It's again, you never know what the
have you
brings.
ever thought about it?
No,
yes or no?
No.
Okay. All right. So many amazing change makers have gone through. That's Pam. Pam Leans is on. So many amazing change makers have gone through BCYF doors, including me.
Well, all right, you got to remember. That's the community.
We're from community.
You went in there because you didn't want to be on the streets.
No, I went in there because I went in there because I was running my mouth at City Hall too much.
Well, I got dragged into the equation because of the Safe Streets program. safe haven that was dragged in the 90s, in the early 90s, that we used to do on
I
Saturdays and
forgot
Sundays.
you old Mingo.
You know what I mean? So it was a way to save our children from the violence in the city. And we can go back to a place where it used to be called community schools.
Community centers. Well,
no,
then
community schools.
Community schools, because you going Mingo.
That's how it started.
I know
community schools.
But you
I brought it up last night. So you didn't have to
everybody
travel.
talked about last night, and I seen a couple of clips.
To travel. You went to the Lee School because you lived walking distance from the Lee School.
But then that means that every school has to be up to par for education, because some people pick schools away from their community because that school performs better.
We're spending $100 million on buses, school buses. That increases traffic. I'm just saying. Is that needed?
Oh, listen. Oh, sorry. My team knows when school starts, I don't schedule nothing for me in person from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm not leaving this house. I got to get out of here now.
It's an hour ride from Hyde Park. That's how long it took for me to get here.
Yo, I got to tell you this one day about mayor. One day I was riding South Station. I was on back before we boycotted Twitter. I was on Twitter. Cussing. All of a sudden I got a text. Where are you? I was like, by South Station. She's like, I think I'm a few cars behind you. It is bad out there.
Yeah,
it is. I don't. When it comes to traffic, down there,
we need traffic light enforcement.
We need traffic enforcement.
The fire department needs to be able to turn the light on and off, green. They do it in Brockton. They have control when they go through for an emergency. They can turn the light off and on and control it so they can get through. You can't get a fire truck up Blue Hill Ave in the middle of the day.
Well, there's the light. That is the light thing that would mess with the lane.
Mattapan has
that's state issue. That's state issue.
We don't have Kearney.
That's a state issue though.
Go to Austin, Brighton.
That's a state issue.
St. Elizabeth.
It's a state issue.
St. Elizabeth now is BMC. Is BMC.
So that comes up. That comes up to us, local to our state of the local officials from that area. The state officials from that area should have been advocating to the governor, just like the damn drugstores.
We were told by Maura Healey that BMC was going to take over Kearney.
Again, but a state issue. But it is important to us here in the community because the residents in here in Boston
now goes to Milton Hospital.
Don't get me.
I had emergency.
I know. I unfortunately had a personal. My sisters. One of my sisters, Dell's mom.
Listen, we can have.
Let me get off of here
for weeks.
Who said it's a walk? Oh, somebody from Instagram said it's a walkable city. All right, folks, I got to get off of here because I'm going to be late. Brother D, if you're watching. You see why I'm going to be a few minutes late, but we'll be good for 12 o'clock. One last thing, please don't. Today's Wednesday. I can do announcements tomorrow. Don't forget, Joey Bennett will be with us at 10 a.m. and 10:30. Brother Neil from Verbal Fabric will be with us, and then at 11 a.m. Brother Sean Ellis is scheduled to be with us to talk about something going on that him and Stephen Pena are working on this weekend. So Neil said, good work, gentlemen. Neil,
thank you.
My guest, we'll see you tomorrow at 10:30. And let me get over to this 5-hour event at Dorchester House. Please also keep in mind that Saturday is the Yard Time event, September 6th from 1 p.m. Let me get you off screen. You sitting there on your phone. Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. is the Yard Time event over in the Mission Hill Playground. Also, as I mentioned, Neil will be with us tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. to talk about the event. I also want to make sure that everyone that has SNAP benefits through a partnership with the Boston Public Health Commission, we want to let you know that you can go get Farm Fresh. Farm Fresh is right around the corner. It is coming soon. Looking for Farm Fresh food? Visit a local farmer's market in Boston. Buy fruits, vegetables with EBT and get up to an extra $40 every month. Learn more at boston.gov/farmers markets. This message is sponsored by the Boston Public Health Commission, the City of Boston, and the Centers for Disease Control. So please make sure that you know that you can go get up to $40 a month by participating. If you don't you messed up my whole commercial. I'm getting Mingo out of here. I love this dude. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with Joey Bennett and also Il Neil. And tomorrow's going to be fire. We got Joey Bennett, Il Neil, and then Sean Ellis.
Listen, don't forget.
Say it was fire today.
On that SNAP piece, they can also, right on Dudley Commons, you can go through the city. You can get up to $25 a month of coupons to get produce.
So this is $65. It's still another, because
Oh, yeah.
commission is doing this, and then you're saying separately from the city, you get $40 a month with your EBT card through this program at Farmers Market, and then specifically in Dudley, a $25 coupon thing.
I'll share it with you. I'll send it.
Okay, send it, and we'll post it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. with Joey.